got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That bad luck bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. 1-1 on the show yesterday. Miami, Marlins didn't score a run, so that was great. They lost 1-0. It was a toss-up type of game. We had the underdog. It is what it is. And then Vegas was looking like it was going to be a push. They were winning 1-0 for the majority of the game. It got tied 1-1, and then they immediately scored to retake the lead. And they got an empty net goal with, I don't know, 7 seconds left. Maybe it was more than that. I had the game on, and I was just like, yeah, there you go, baby. The empty net scoops us the pot with Vegas, and they win 3-1. It would have been a push otherwise because they were about to win 2-1. So, yeah, there you go. I'll take it. We'll move on to today. One baseball play for me today. I'm trying to be really selective here. I don't love the baseball board. I have a couple of leans that I will indicate that I guess are stronger than the rest. And I'm going to have a play in the hockey game, and it's going to be a rarity for me, but you might know what it is because I zigzag, so you might know what we're doing there. I have an opinion in one of the NBA games that's stronger than the other, and I considered it. I'm going to stay off of it, but I like one of the games a decent amount in the NBA, but it's not on my card. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Oh, yeah, Dodgers team total. Yeah, that sounds like me. I don't know. I don't even remember what I said about that game. I pretty much, I don't know. That was one of those ones where I wouldn't have really disagreed with just like laying a run line price on them. That would have won as well. But, yeah, I mean, I think they were up against a bad pitching staff, right? Who are they playing? They're playing Houston, right? Yeah, I mean, I think Houston was going with a bullpen game yesterday. So, yeah, that made sense. Although, what did the what did they score in that game? Dodgers, what did they do? They scored 8. I mean, for them to get over the team total, you probably needed them to score 7 runs in that game, though. So, it's a little bit questionable. A's, Philadelphia. Hey, the Philadelphia A's. Have we time traveled here? No. The formerly Philadelphia A's, now homeless A's, are against the Philadelphia Phillies here. Phillies played yesterday. The A's were off, so the A's have a rest advantage here. There are a couple of teams with a rest edge today, and I do have a play on one of them, but it's not this one. Philly is returning home from Miami. They won the Miami series. Unfortunately, we got one game right, one game wrong for plays in that series. Yes, they're technically returning home from a road trip, which I would say that is generally a negative. Like, you get back to family life, you got stuff to do back at home, but they were gone for a little bit less than a week, and it was a divisional series, one series road trip, so I don't really put too much weight into how bad that is in this particular spot. The A's, though, were off yesterday. Like I said, they played at home, so they are traveling across the country for this. But a lot of times the team will have momentum to start a road trip. They won their last game against Cleveland, now starting the road trip. They beat Parker Messick, actually. Now the A's are on the road here. Still some problems with the A's, though. I mean, their bullpen is rested because they didn't play yesterday, but their bullpen isn't very good. Philadelphia's bullpen is not particularly good either and used 3 arms out of it yesterday. Philadelphia's 18th in bullpen whip, which is not very good. The A's are even worse. They're 23rd. I would not trust these 2 bullpens. Hitting-wise, the A's are all the way up to 6th now, and I told you their offense was going to move up, but they're not at home. They're not in as hitter-friendly a park as their home stadium, but they are a pretty good offense. Phillies still continue to struggle as a bottom 3 offense right now. You got to give the A's a little bit of an offensive edge here. Luis Severino pitching for the A's, 4.46 ERA, 1.43 whip. Those are bad numbers for the most part. He is a little bit better on the road. Last year, he was a completely different pitcher on the road. I would say, yes, he is better on the road than at home. He's allowed all 4 home runs that he's allowed at home this year. It's a very hitter-friendly ballpark. His numbers overall, they're not that good. 40 to 23 strikeout walk ratios, way too many walks. 38 in the 3rd innings pitched, 32 hits allowed. Pitched well in his last 2 starts, though. 1 on the road and 1 at home against Texas and Kansas City. Philadelphia, they're capable of being a better offense than this, but they haven't been this year so far. His numbers against Philly are mediocre. Philly is familiar with him because he was on the Mets for a while. 60 at-bats, 19 to 4 strikeout walk ratio is a pretty high ratio. 267 batting average allowed and 812 OPS allowed. Not great. He's going up against Christopher Sanchez, who is the better pitcher, 2.9 ERA, but his 1.5 whip is a problem. He's definitely putting too many guys on base. He's been way better at home so far. 1.5 ERA at home. So the home road splits actually favor both starting pitchers in this matchup. He has 50 strikeouts in 14 to 3rd innings. That's a lot of strikeouts. 13 walks isn't that bad considering how high the strikeout rate is. A lot of ground balls as well, but 48 hits allowed. He had 2 starts where he gave up all those hits, though. The Cubs and San Francisco. Both of those on the road, by the way. Will Sanchez do better here at home? Yeah, he might. His numbers against the A's, it's pretty limited. 26 at-bat sample size. 6 hitters have faced him. 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, 231 batting average allowed, 632 OPS. Sanchez does have the better matchup numbers here. I think he is better than what that whip would tell you that he is. I don't know. I don't like the game. There are some advantages to the A's here. The money kind of looks like it's indicating towards Philadelphia, but because pregame is never going to fix their bullshit, I can't even actually get a good view of the market. 58% of tickets, 56% of the cash on the A's, according to Wager Talk here. Do you really think the A's are the public side here? Is that how bad things have gotten for Philly? I'm not so sure about that. Plus, Sanchez on the mound. People kind of know who he is. I don't know. There is a reason why Philly is favored at around minus 180 because Sanchez is definitely the better of the 2 pitchers. But, there are some disadvantages to Philly here. It's a tough call. There are some arguments to be made for a first 5 under in this game, possibly, with both pitchers not really having the worst matchup here or being in the worst. They're both in the better of their home road splits here. Wouldn't want to deal with the bullpens if I went with the under, though. I don't know. It's not a strong opinion for me at all. The money seems to be indicating to lean towards Philadelphia. I'm not sure that I agree with that, although Sanchez, again, is the better pitcher and does have the better matchup numbers. I could see somewhat of an argument that the line is just too high on Philadelphia, but you could also argue it's that high for a reason on a team that doesn't have a good record right now, so I don't have a good read on that game. Houston's bullpen is shit. Just the numbers tell you that. What did you ladder the team total? I don't do that shit. I don't recommend that at all. I make it one single bet on whatever the number is, if it's a good enough number, and that's what I do. I don't fuck around with that bullshit. All right, Baltimore at Miami. And Houston's atrocious bullpen is factored into the line. Miami lost their last 2 games to Philadelphia. They're staying at home. Baltimore also played yesterday, and they're traveling from New York. They just lost. They got swept in pretty bad manner against the Yankees, although when you look at those, I'm going to talk about the Yankees in a minute, but those scores are a little bit misleading in that Yankees series. One of the games, Baltimore was winning. I think 2 games ago, Baltimore was winning late in the game. Yankees had one huge explosion, like an 8-run inning. And then yesterday, they also had like a 6-run inning late in the game. And believe it or not, the Yankees got out-hit by Baltimore in the game yesterday. Even though the Yankees won 12-1, Baltimore out-hit them 12-10, I'm pretty sure. You almost never see something like that. One team scoring 1 run off of 12 hits, which is unheard of. And then another team scoring 12 off of 10 hits, also unheard of. So that game was closer than the final score makes it look. Still don't know if I love Baltimore here, though. Baltimore's bullpen, they used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Who are we even talking about? Miami. Miami, they do have the better bullpen over the Orioles. They use 3 relievers as well. Miami actually up to 4th in bullpen whip. Their bullpen has been performing well. Orioles are 20th, and their ERA is way worse at almost 5. OPS, Miami has dropped a little bit. They're 14th. The Orioles, I think, have dropped as well. Where even are they? They're at 17th. So you're looking at offenses that have been mediocre this year so far. Chris Bassett is pitching for the Orioles. He's been bad. 5.46 ERA, 1.86 whip. Really bad on the road. 8.03 road ERA. He is starting to pitch better at home, though, and we figured that out with a loss on Houston in that doubleheader the other day. Bassett actually had a good start. Go figure. His overall numbers suck. 17 strikeouts, 14 walks in 28 innings. 38 hits allowed as well. None of that is good at all. Although his team has won his last 4 starts, though. Based on last year, I mean, maybe he's not as bad as these numbers would suggest, but I'm not a Bassett fan. I was the one that was early to fading Bassett last year when he was looking pretty good with Toronto and professional bettors were all over him. I'm like, dude, he's 37. He throws like just all fastballs. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he has more of a relief pitcher's arsenal here, and he's too old. And his underlying metrics did not look good to me. Anyway, against Miami, they really don't have much experience against him somehow, even though he's been in the league forever. Mostly in the American League, though, I think. They're only 1 for 9 off him. Morel and Ruiz are the only guys that have faced him before. 4 strikeouts, no walks. There's not a lot to read into there, although Bassett might actually match up okay against Miami. It is a more pitcher-friendly park, but he's been atrocious on the road. Sandy Alcantara's pitching for the Marlins. He's having a good season, 3.04 ERA, 1.16 whip. He's been really good at home, 1.23 home ERA. The worry with him is his stuff just doesn't look like it's there anymore. Like, that's been the case since he's had his injuries and surgeries. He's only got 31 strikeouts in 47 1/3 innings, so obviously his velocity is not there. He's not striking guys out. He has 15 walks, only 40 hits allowed, so he is managing to pitch pretty well given his limitations. He's really only had 1 bad start. All of his other starts, besides the road start against Detroit, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs and 2 or fewer in all but one of them. So he is having a good season. Although I do worry because it looks like his stuff just doesn't exist anymore. And I don't mean his manhood. Maybe I do. Numbers against Baltimore are very good, but remember, a lot of these numbers are in the past. 62 career at-bats, 14 strikeouts, 3 walks, 145 batting average allowed, 527 OPS. Really good matchup numbers there. Is he capable of doing well here? Yeah, obviously. I probably prefer the Miami side here. They got 82% of tickets, 90% of the cash, minus 120 something. Looks like it's the price here. Totals at 8.5. Money looks like it's kind of hitting the under a little bit. I guess there are some arguments for that with the matchup numbers both being sort of okay, but I would trust Alcantara over Bassett, even though he's, past his surgeries, whatever. He's not the guy that he once was, but you know me, I really do not like Bassett. And Miami has the better bullpen as well. I'll lean to Miami in that game slightly, but Baltimore wasn't as bad as they looked in that New York series. Boston Red Sox at Detroit. The Red Sox got the win yesterday because I guess luckily for them, Tarek Skubal was a late scratch with some sort of injury, so he didn't pitch yesterday. So basically, Detroit went with a bullpen game yesterday, and the Red Sox still barely won. Peyton Tolley actually pitched well for the Red Sox yesterday, and the Red Sox bullpen was actually the problem yesterday and almost blew the game. But luckily for me, I guess, didn't. But the Red Sox have been total ass. Detroit probably is the better team. Detroit has the better of the pitching matchup today. They're coming off a loss. Could be a bounce-back spot for Detroit here. It is going to be the Red Sox actually going with a bullpen game, sort of-ish, this time, which I'll talk about in a minute. Caleb, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Red Sox, their bullpen has been good generally this year. They used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, including Chapman. So he's pitched 2 days in a row. He's not going to be available in this game. So if the Red Sox need a closer, they're going to be in trouble. Detroit used a bunch of relief pitchers yesterday. Like I said, they used Holton as like an opener and then went all bullpen yesterday because they had to. I don't think they even had time to call anybody up. So that did not work out for Detroit yesterday. They used 4 relief pitchers. They still barely lost the game, though. Detroit does have the lesser of the 2 bullpens. The Red Sox are at 9th in bullpen whip right now. Detroit 21st with an ERA about a run higher. Half a run higher than the Red Sox bullpen ERA. Detroit is the better offense. They're in the top 10. The Red Sox are in the bottom few hitting teams right now. Not good. But this is supposed to be Brian Bayo's turn in the rotation for the Red Sox, and he's been so bad that they're changing it up, and I think he is pitching, but they're going to put an opener in front of him, it looks like right now, which is listed as Giovanni Moran, who they're going to use out of the bullpen. He's going to make the opener here, and then Bayo is going to pitch. I don't like this dude. I mean, you're still going to get Bayo. Bayo sucks. Moran has been pretty good this year, 2.33 ERA, 1.09 whip, but I don't even know if we really should even spend time handicapping him that much. Detroit does have 20 at-bats against him, 250 average, 773 OPS, though, 6.6 strikeout walk ratio, too many walks. But Moran, I'm pretty sure he's only going to go 1 inning in this game. Maybe not, because it looks like he has gone 2 to 3 innings in some cases, so they might have him actually go multiple innings here. Then they're probably going to have Bayo come in, and if that's the case, it's not going to be good still. And look at all these injuries, man. This is just so bad for the Red Sox. Crochet, Gray, Suarez all hurt right now. It's getting ridiculous. Roman Anthony got hurt yesterday as well. Not talking about their pitching, but getting ridiculous. Bayo, if he's pitching in this game, that can't be a good thing. 9.12 ERA, 2.26 whip. Numbers against Detroit are awful. 377 average allowed, 963 OPS, 11 to 6 strikeout walk ratio, 69 at bats. So if Bayo is going to come into this game, and I'm thinking he probably is, the Red Sox are not going to win this game, in my opinion. They're having to go up against Framber Valdez as well, and he's been solid. 3.35 ERA, 1.26 whip, pitching for Detroit this year. The whip is a little high, but he's been excellent at home, 0.69 ERA at home. His walk rate is too high. Strikeout rate is actually a little bit down, 32 strikeouts in 40 and a third innings, 14 walks. That's his main issue. He walks too many. He issues too many walks, 37 hits allowed. That's not bad. He's generally been good, though. He's only had 1 start where he's allowed more than 2 earned runs, where he inexplicably got just destroyed by Minnesota, but all of his other starts were good, including one against the Red Sox, by the way. He pitched well against them back on April 19th in Fenway, held them to 1 run in 6 innings, and I'm guessing that Bayo might have pitched in that series as well and probably did not do well. And Valdez against the Red Sox, by the way, is pretty good. 243 average, allowed 617 OPS, 14.3 strikeout walk ratio, 70 at-bats. Yeah, I have to give the edge to Detroit in this game in the bounce back with the obviously better starting pitcher here. If you want to exclude the bullpens, I think that is okay, actually. And then you might get the you're not going to get the price down. The price is probably higher on Detroit in the first 5 innings, but it can only go so high. Like, Detroit's like minus 180 something for the full game. And you're like almost never going to see a money line higher than that for a first 5 because there's just not enough innings to justify it. So I would probably lean Detroit minus the half run in the first 5 innings to go with Detroit to have the lead at the end of the first 5 and then not worry about the bullpens because the Red Sox do still have a more rested and better bullpen than Detroit does. The money is coming in on the Red Sox, which doesn't make sense to me. 62% of the tickets on Detroit, 66% of the cash on the Red Sox. I don't see how you could trust this Red Sox pitching situation here. Maybe I'm just, again, too old school and I don't like these bullpen games, and it is a planned one, sort of, but it's more that Bayo is just so bad. The Red Sox are trying to find another option here. The total's at 8. I don't really have a good read on the total there, but those are my thoughts on that game. I think first 5 Detroit would be my lean. Toronto at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay won 5-1 yesterday. They've won 4 games in a row. Tampa Bay hanging there right behind the Yankees right now. Tampa Bay has the second best record in the American League by a wide margin. They're playing pretty well. Tampa Bay, their bullpen has started to pitch better, although they used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. Toronto used 4. Based on what we saw last year out of these bullpens and who they have in the bullpen, I think Tampa's is actually probably the better bullpen. They're middle of the pack right now, along with Toronto being slightly ahead of them in the bullpen numbers, but I think Tampa is probably the better of the 2 bullpens. Hitting-wise, they're both fairly close as well. They're both kind of middle of the pack. Tampa's been a little bit better. I don't put too much weight into that, though. I think Toronto, when healthy, probably is the better hitting team, though. Kevin Gausman is pitching for Toronto. And by the way, just eyeing who these pitchers are, it looks like it's going to be a pitching duel in this game, and it definitely could be, but when you dig into the matchup numbers, maybe it's not going to be. Gausman has a 3.1 ERA, 0.96 whip. He's been really good this year. He's been not so good on the road, though. 4.86 road ERA, so you could definitely fade him on the road. He struggled in his last outing at Minnesota, so he's not in the greatest of form right now, although he's generally had a really good season. 40-8 strikeout walk ratio is really good. 31 hits allowed in 40 2/3 innings. But again, there are some indicators that maybe you can fade him here. His numbers against Tampa are also not good. In 74 at-bats, 351 average allowed, 825 OPS, 20-5 strikeout walk ratio is good, but the rest of those numbers are a problem. He does not pitch particularly well against Tampa. Drew Rasmussen is pitching for the Rays. He's having a good season, 2.64 ERA, 0.85 whip, and he's been really good at home, 0.75 home ERA. So the home road splits favor Drew Rasmussen in this one, and the matchup numbers also do, by the way. Rasmussen, 32-5 strikeout walk ratio and 21 hits allowed in 30 2/3 innings. So his numbers are right there, basically almost as good as Gausman's on the season. It's just that Rasmussen doesn't go as deep into most of these games. They keep him on basically a pitch count, but they've let him go a little bit deeper his last couple of games, and he is in the better form right now. 2 pretty good starts in a row and pitched better against Minnesota than Gausman did, although I wouldn't put that much weight into that. Everything's about an individual matchup here. But Rasmussen does appear to have the better of this matchup. 60 at-bats, 200 batting average allowed, and 634 OPS allowed to Toronto's hitters. 12-7 strikeout walk ratio is not that good, but the rest of the numbers are. I'm going to lean to Tampa Bay here. The money seems to not agree with me at all. Tampa Bay's got 57% of the tickets, 74% of the cash on Detroit. It looks like Tampa, based on how good their record is, they might be a little bit public here. I'm not totally jumping out of my seat to fade Gausman, but this does look like a spot where maybe Gausman isn't going to do quite as well. So my lean is Tampa. They're in the minus 120s here. It would be a money line play. I think the bullpens, you could probably leave them in. I mean, they're both in a similar setup here. I don't think there's a huge edge one way or the other, bullpen-wise. But if you want to focus on just the starting pitching edge, yes, you could go first 5 innings with Tampa as well. That is definitely an option. The total is low at 7.5 or 7, so it is. The total is lined like this is going to be a pitching matchup, and maybe it will be, but I just showed you the matchup numbers there, so I think I would prefer Rasmussen in that one. Yeah, I lean Tampa slightly in that one. Either full game or first five. Of course, now that I say that, one of them will win and one of them will lose. J-Main, what's up? You like Gaussman under his strikeout number? That, I don't know. What were his strikeout numbers against Tampa? I don't think I agree with that. He has a high strikeout rate. Even though his overall numbers are bad against Tampa, his strikeout rate against them is high. 20 strikeouts and 74 at-bats is a really high strikeout rate. I would not play it that way. No way. I would find a different way to play it. Like, go with Tampa to score some runs off him or something. I already told you how I would play the game. I would just focus on the matchup, Gaussman versus Rasmussen, and then Gaussman could pitch okay, and you could still beat him if Rasmussen outpitches him. So I would just play it with Tampa Bay. Minnesota at Washington. Washington they did not play yesterday. They stayed at home. They beat Milwaukee the day before that, so Washington has a day of rest. I think Minnesota actually does as well. I think both of these teams didn't play yesterday. Minnesota is coming in from Toronto. So, yes, both teams have a day of rest. I don't think that's going to really help, though, because these bullpens are just that bad. They're both in, like, the bottom. Actually, Washington has moved up a little bit. Washington's 22nd. Minnesota's 28th out of 30 in bullpen whip. Still really bad. I still don't trust either of these bullpens at all. Both teams have been better on the offensive side, but they've both fallen off. Minnesota 13th, Washington 19th now. I don't think either of these teams is really that good. So the offenses have cooled off. The offenses now have a day of rest, which I think can also cool the offenses off a little bit. I don't like the bullpens, but starting pitching-wise, Taj Bradley is pitching for the Twins. He is pitching well. Tampa Bay probably not happy they got rid of him. He showed signs that he might be a good pitcher, man. I think Tampa just rushed him to the majors. He looks good right now. 2.85 ERA, 1.22 whip. He's been a little bit worse on the road, but not too bad. 3.32 ERA. 44 to 15 strikeout walk ratio. That's pretty good. 35 hits allowed in 41 innings. The walk number is still, I guess, a little high, but overall pretty good numbers here. He's only had one start where he's allowed more than one earned run, and it was against Tampa Bay on the road. So do with that what you want to. But, yeah, he's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all the rest of his outings, including a nice bounce-back outing against Seattle. Even though they lost the game, it wasn't really his fault. He is now pitching against who are we talking? I already forget. Like, I always forget who I'm even looking at when we switch to the new series. Washington is who we're facing here. Washington only has 5 hitters who have ever faced him before. 13 at-bats, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 231 average allowed, 593 OPS. So his numbers are good against Washington, and they're not that familiar with him. So I think Bradley could definitely continue to pitch well here. Cade Cavalli is pitching for Washington. He's, I was going to say he's young, but he is 27 now, but he is actually starting to pitch fairly well. He's got a 3.82 ERA, but his whip scares me, 1.66. That is not good. He's been good at home, though, where he is today, 2.63 home ERA. And his last couple of starts have been good. He has double-digit strikeouts in 2 starts in a row against the Braves and the Mets, so he stepped it up in these 2 divisional matchups. I know the Mets haven't been hitting at all, but doing it against the Braves is pretty impressive. 2 earned runs allowed in both those outings. He's got 38 strikeouts in 30 2/3 innings now. Pretty good strikeout rate, although that's because he's been really, really ramping it up in the last 2 starts. But that tells you that he's in good form right now and fooling hitters. And over that span, he only walked 2 guys. So 20-2 strikeout walk ratio over his last 2 outings, and actually 25-2 over his last 3, with only 5 runs allowed over those 15 innings or whatever it is. So he is pitching pretty well right now. 14 walks is a little high, though. 37 hits allowed is also too high. Washington had lost 5 starts in a row of his until they beat the Mets. Some of it not his fault, though. But I think you might be able to bank on him pitching okay here. And I believe Minnesota has never faced him before, I'm pretty sure. Let me find them. Yes, correct. So he's completely unfamiliar to Minnesota, and he's reaching like a peak of his strikeout ability right now. I like both starting pitchers in this game, believe it or not. And people are going to look at this, and who's going to want to do that with this game? Oh, my God, Bradley against Cavaliers. Like, who's going to look at that and think, yeah, that's going to be a pitching duel? But I like this. This is one of my stronger opinions of the day. I haven't put it on my card. And I will say, I think the Tampa Bay one is also one of my stronger leans. So I like Tampa Bay, and I like this one a little bit more than that. I would go under first 5 innings in this one. I think Bradley and Cavaliers can actually both pitch well here. The full game total is 9. The money is hitting the over. 66% of tickets, 83% of the cash on the over. Now, it does worry me the odds makers have put a pretty high total out there on this game. It also worries me that Washington's pitching has been really bad at home, but the bullpens are also being factored into that, and the bullpens stink. But I think the offenses could come in a little bit cold with yesterday off. Both starting pitchers look like they match up well here. I would go under first 5 innings. You might be able to get that under 5 in the first 5 innings, so that's what I would do. As far as the side, it looks like the line flipped from Minnesota being the favorite to Washington potentially being a small favorite, although 50% of tickets, 58% of the cash on Minnesota. So hard to read the market on the side there. I don't have a good opinion on the side, really. I like the total in that one to go under in the first 5 innings. The next game will be my play. I only have one in baseball here. We're going to take the rested team here, the Texas Rangers, and we're going to fade the New York Yankees. Again, there are a lot of things that go into this, man. So Texas has a rest advantage. But you look at the Yankees, and the Yankees, the line alone on this game kind of tells you what you need to know. Like, the Yankees have one of the best records in baseball. They're the Yankees. Why are they like minus 120 to minus 130 here, right? Like, it looks way too easy to play the Yankees here. The reason is Texas has rest, and the odds makers are just telling you something with this number, man. They're telling you that in this particular game, the Yankees don't have as big of an edge as they usually do, and I agree. I think they have a starting pitching disadvantage, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. I think Texas has the better bullpen as well. Texas is more rested because they didn't play yesterday. So all of that is factoring into this. The Yankees are staying at home, so there is that. Texas is traveling, but Texas is in the middle of a road trip. They lost their last 2 games badly against Detroit. I think Texas is going to show up here, man. 1 day off, huge series against the Yankees. They lost already at home to the Yankees last time they played them, which was 2 series ago. The Yankees came into Texas and beat them 2 out of 3. And yes, Texas did win the last game, but look at the scores in those games. 4-2, 3-2, and 3-0. And I know Texas, very pitcher-friendly park. I don't expect this series to be this low scoring, but Texas has good pitching. Yes, all their games at home are much lower, like they're really low scoring at home. Yes, I get that. But what I'm pointing out is that all of those games were close. Texas is not a bad team, even though they're below 500. They could definitely battle, and they could definitely battle in this matchup, especially given that they're rested. Coming off 2 losses, the Yankees are not rested, and they just had a divisional sweep where they blew out Baltimore in every game. That's got to feel pretty satisfying. Baltimore started the series, whatever it was, like 5 games back, 4 games back of the Yankees, and now they're 9 games back after that. Whatever it was. Is that how it works? Whatever it was. So I guess they were, 5 games back. Anyway, like I said, the Yankees looked better than they actually were in these last 2 games. The Yankees had 7 runs in the 8th inning when they were only winning the game by 1 against Baltimore, and they were actually losing that game in the 6th inning 2 games ago. Then yesterday, I told you, misleading result yesterday as well. They won 12-1, but again, the box score, it's ridiculous, dude. It was 10-10 in hits. I thought it was 12-10 Baltimore, but no, it was 10-10. But what I said still applies. 10-10 in hits, you never see a game wind up 12-1 like that. And again, the Yankees just erupted against Baltimore's bullpen for 3 runs in the 6th and 6 runs in the 8th. You know what bullpen is better than Baltimore's bullpen? Yeah, that'd be the Texas Rangers. The Rangers have a way better bullpen than the Orioles do. So the Rangers are much less likely to get totally imploded like that late in the game, especially with a rested bullpen here where they can use any of their relievers in this game. The Yankees, used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, although they kind of limited the usage, but still, they did use 4 guys. Yeah, well, Texas did not use anybody. As far as the hitting, yeah, the Yankees are the better hitting team. We know that. They're third in offense. Texas is in the bottom several. I get that, but I like pitching over offense. You know that if you watch me. Texas is the second best bullpen. The Yankees have been fairly decent at 11th, but yes, Texas does have a bullpen edge and more rested bullpen. And Texas is going with Jacob DeGrom. He's been really good, even still at the age of 37, 2.01 ERA, 0.96 whip on the season. Yeah, he's been a little bit worse on the road, but 2.45 is not exactly bad. He did just pitch against the Yankees, so yes, the Yankees did just see him, but he pitched well. He took a loss in the game because he got no run support. He allowed 1 earned run on 3 hits in 6 innings. Didn't even have to throw 100 pitches, had 5 strikeouts. Another good outing from him. He's got a 40-7 strikeout walk ratio, 23 hits allowed in 31 1/3 innings. Really good numbers from him overall. And yes, the Yankees are familiar with him, but I don't think that's going to matter that much because this is DeGrom, dude. He's been in the league for forever. He's been in the majors for forever. We know this. So the Yankees have a lot of at-bats against him. So the fact that they just faced him, unless, they have certain hitters who had never faced him before, I don't think it's really going to help. They have 85 at-bats against him, 32 strikeouts, 5 walks, 176 average overall. And yeah, the OPS is a little bit higher than you'd think at 658, but 2 home runs apiece from Bellinger and McMahon are skewing those numbers a bit. And obviously, he can pitch around, just 2 guys in the lineup and whatever. So I like DeGrom here. He's going up against Elmer Rodriguez, who's only made 1 career start so far. So, he has a 4.5 ERA, which isn't that bad. 2 whip. And if you remember, I gave out the under in that game, and I believe it was him against Eovaldi, I think. And Eovaldi pitched really well in the game. He had good numbers against the Yankees, which so does DeGrom. So we got the under right in that game. But here's the thing, man. I always talk about how these young pitchers, part of my handicap in that game was young pitchers, when they get called up, and Rodriguez did look pretty good in AAA this year. When they get called up, the unfamiliarity is a big advantage to them because the hitters have to figure them out. Well, who did I just say Rodriguez faced in his only start so far? Yeah, it was Texas. So guess who's familiar with him now because they just saw him, his last start that he made. Yeah, that'd be Texas. So the unfamiliarity edge that he might normally have is not here because he faced Texas in his only start, and now he has to face them again. And he was not lights out in that start. He went 4 innings through 80 pitches, which is, he wasn't that efficient. He held them to 2 earned runs, so that's good. Give him credit for that. 4 hits allowed. 4 walks, though, to 3 strikeouts. And now, yes, you could argue that first start, you get nervous. Maybe he's settled in, and maybe he'll do better for that reason. So maybe that negates the familiarity a little bit, but I don't think it totally does. I think the unfamiliarity is a big edge. And then when that team just saw him and now they're recently familiar with him, I think that's a decent edge to the hitting. Overall, Texas, same numbers that we just saw. Texas, they did okay against him in 15 at-bats, 3 strikeouts, 4 walks. Like I said, 267 average, 688 OPS. They didn't have any extra base hits off him, but he was putting enough guys on base that it's dangerous. It lines up for me, man. We're going to take Texas. That's the play. Texas, I think they have the starting pitching edge and the bullpen edge. 66% of tickets and 87% of the cash on the Yankees does worry me a little bit. And money coming in on the over as well, which I don't agree with that. I would go under probably in this game. Under would be an opinion for me in this game, but I prefer the side. The total's at 8.5 for what that's worth, but we're not in Texas anymore, man. So I'm going with the pitching to win out here. I'm going with what I think should be fading the public, which you can see that it kind of is. I don't know what's going on with the cash percentage there, but yeah, we're going to take what I think is an undervalued Texas team in this matchup here. You don't get DeGrom as an underdog too often, man, so we're going to do it there. Texas. Rangers are your team. I like them just because they don't hit well and they pitch well. They tend to be an undervalued commodity, and because they underperformed what their numbers would suggest they should have done last year. Like, they had a really good run differential last year, and their record did not pan out that way. So they underperformed last year too. So coming into this season, they were a decent look to have a better record this year than they did last year. They have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. So when that's the case, you're always going to be a threat, like to be a playoff team and whatever. So, and I think they are. All right, Cincinnati at the Cubs. I got to get through this, man. Plus, I have to bring my car in for service in a couple hours. So that's why I'm early today. I want to get this done, but we don't have too many playoff games to talk about after this. Cincinnati at the Cubs. The Cubs won a close game yesterday, 5-4 against the Reds. They've won 6 games in a row. It could be a Reds bounce back here, but it could also just be this is a big divisional series. So you're going to get an effort out of both teams here. As far as the bullpens, the Cubs have the better bullpen. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, though. The Reds used 3, but the Reds have really fallen off bullpen-wise. They're the second worst bullpen whip, now actually tied with the Astros for the worst, even though their ERA is significantly better than that. But they have not been a great bullpen, and the whip suggests that they're worse than their ERA makes it look. Cubs have been a pretty good bullpen. They're at 5th overall right now in whips, so yes, they have the better bullpen. Cubs also have the better offense. They're at 4th. So this Reds team, I mean, they're like I keep saying, they're a little bit fraudulent. If you look at the fact that their bullpen's not very good at this point, even though they got off to a hot start, somehow getting away with putting a lot of guys on base. Their offense has been pretty bad all season. They're at 24th. So the Cubs have pretty big edges here in the bullpen and in the hitting. Starting pitching, maybe not as much, but Andrew Abbott is pitching for the Reds. And, well, if you look at his career, he's obviously better than what his numbers look like this year, but he hasn't been good this year. 5.97 ERA, 1.67 whip. He's been better on the road, 4.5 road ERA. He's really struggled so far this year at home in what is a hitter-friendly ballpark, even though he is used to it. He's pitched for Cincinnati for, I think, his whole career, so even though he's still fairly young. But, yeah, I mean, I expect his numbers to get better than this, but he's not pitching well. He had a good start in his last outing, though, at home against the Rockies. I know they're not a good offense, but maybe that means he's trending a little bit in the right direction. And the Reds somehow won 4 of his last 5 outings, but that's one of the things with the Reds is their record looks good because they're getting away with all these close wins, so I think they're getting a little bit lucky. Abbott has a really ugly 24-15 strikeout walk ratio in 34 2/3 innings. 43 hits allowed as well, so that's too many hits allowed, too many walks allowed, not enough strikeouts. These numbers are just not very good. His numbers against the Cubs, believe it or not, are pretty good. In 93 at-bats, 183 batting average allowed, and 592 OPS. So we have a big sample here, and Abbott has done well against the Cubs, except for a 16-11 strikeout walk ratio. That's bad, but the rest of his numbers do look good. He's going up against Jameson Taillon, who has been the better pitcher of the two on the season. 4.41 ERA. Not great, but 1.15 whip is pretty solid. He's been fine this year. He's been pretty good at home as well. 3.78 ERA at home. He's allowed more than 3 earned runs only twice this season. Cubs have won his last 4 outings. 31-13 strikeout walk ratio. That's decent. It's not great, but it's pretty good. And 27 hits allowed in 34 2/3 innings, so he hasn't allowed a lot of hits. Taillon definitely has the better numbers on the season, but his matchup numbers are not as good as Abbott's are. He has 106 at-bats against the Reds. 21-5 strikeout walk ratio is good against them. 264 average allowed, 841 OPS. So the OPS is high, man. He's allowed 7 home runs to them and 8 doubles. So that's kind of the problem. I don't know if you could fully trust the Cubs in the starting pitching aspect of this here. What does the money look like here? The money looks like it is hitting the Reds here. The Cubs have 58% of tickets. The Reds have 72% of the cash. Money coming in on the over for some reason, although this looks like it's not a wind blowing out type of game like it was yesterday. The total was like 12 yesterday, which means the wind was blowing out. Today it's 8 in Wrigley, so that means the wind is not blowing out. I don't know if it means it's necessarily blowing in, but it means that the wind is not going to be carrying the balls as far today. I don't really have a good opinion there. It's really, this game just there are just too many conflicting factors in this game in general for me to want to do anything with it. The Cubs are somewhere around a minus 160 price here. The money is coming in on Cincinnati. I would say that if you are going to play Cincinnati, I would make it a first 5-inning play and just go with the starting pitching matchup numbers because Cincinnati is at a bullpen disadvantage in that game. So that is what I would say about it. Cleveland at Kansas City. I thought Cleveland had a good spot yesterday, catching Kansas City, returning home from a road trip to the Pacific Coast, and after sweeping Seattle. But that didn't happen. Kansas City won again yesterday in a bad spot against Cleveland. So maybe Cleveland bounces back in this one. I don't know, man. But Kansas City got the win yesterday. Kansas City, their bullpen's really struggled so far this year, but they're pretty rested right now. They only used 2 guys yesterday, and they used them in a pretty limited fashion. Cleveland, their bullpen struggled a little bit this year as well. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Neither bullpen ranks very well right now. Let me see. Cleveland is 13th right now in bullpen whip, but their ERA is in the 4s. The Royals are 24th, but they have been improving. So they were right near the bottom, and their ERA is still close to 5, so I don't know if you can really trust them, but they have been on the rise, at least, Kansas City's bullpen. The offenses are not very good. Cleveland's at 20th. The Royals have actually moved up a little bit to 14th, but I don't think either offense is really that good. Maybe the Royals are the slightly better offense here. I think Cleveland probably has the better starting pitcher. Gavin Williams is pitching, and he's having a good season. 2.7 ERA, 1.02 whip. He hasn't been good on the road, though. 4.3 ERA on the road, so he has pretty significant home road splits that go against him in this matchup. But he's pitching well generally. He's got a lot of strikeouts, 53 strikeouts in 43 1/3 innings, and only 25 hits allowed. So he's been very difficult to hit. He's been fooling hitters. His wildness has been a little bit of a concern with 19 walks, but that number's gone down. He's walked 2 or fewer in 5 straight outings now, and Cleveland has won 6 straight starts of his. He's pitching well right now, man. Not necessarily somebody I'd want to fade right now, and his numbers against the Royals are good, so even though he's not good on the road, the rest of his numbers do look pretty good, except for the walk number again here against Kansas City. 108 at-bats. He's got 24 strikeouts. 12 walks, though, against Kansas City. So, again, that's the one drawback, the wild side of Williams. Dude, he should be Wild Thing. Wild Thing Williams. There you go. He's Greg Vaughn, basically. He's on the Indians, so there you go. 160, although he's not a relief pitcher. 167 batting average allowed, 565 OPS. Good numbers against the Royals. And now I hear landscaping, lawn mowing going on outside right now, which is really going to irritate me while I'm trying to do this. Steven Kolek is pitching for the Royals, and he's being activated from the injured list. He's been injured all season so far, so this is going to be his first start of the season. I didn't look at what he did in the minor league as far as rehab because I just didn't want to make a play on this game anyway. But Kolek was kind of a mystery last year. He spent a lot of the season last year with San Diego, and then Kansas City got him at the trade deadline. The one really weird thing about him last year was his home road splits made no sense given that San Diego was pitcher-friendly park, or is. Kansas City was last year, although they moved their walls in. But he was bad at home last year. Pitching in pitcher-friendly parks, I don't know how he was as bad as he was at home last year. 5.58 home ERA. So that is kind of a problem. Overall last year, he was pretty good with Kansas City, though. Kansas City had him for 5 starts. He had a 1.91 ERA and 0.76 whip with them. His strikeout rate was low. He doesn't strike a lot of guys out, but he didn't put a lot of guys on base at all. Didn't allow a lot of walks or hits. So, yeah, I mean, obviously it is possible Kolek does pitch well here. Again, he did well with KC last year. His numbers against Cleveland are not that good, though. It's a small 22 at-bat sample. 1-1 strikeout walk ratio, 318 batting average allowed, 757 OPS. So those numbers are not that good. So I do lean Cleveland here. I think Williams does have the upper hand in that starting pitching matchup, and the bullpens are kind of hard to figure out. The money is coming in on Kansas City. I don't really get it. 56% of the tickets are on Cleveland, 80% of the cash on Kansas City. That makes no sense to me. I don't see why the public would not be on Kansas City after they've won, 4 or 5 games in a row. Cleveland is favored as a small favorite here at around minus 118 or so. Total's at 7.5, so the total is expecting this to be a pitching duel here. I could see that being the case. I worry about Kolek's matchup numbers. I don't like the bullpens either. I think if you do go under in this game, you probably want to limit it to first 5. But, yeah, I don't love the game at all. Milwaukee at St. Louis. I thought Milwaukee was in a good spot, man, yesterday, and St. Louis won anyway. St. Louis was coming off losing a long win streak and had just played the Dodgers, so I thought it was a bad spot for St. Louis coming into this one. I thought Milwaukee was in a bounce back after losing to Washington, and Milwaukee, in my opinion, is the better team. I mean, I think objectively they're the better team, but that didn't happen. St. Louis won again yesterday, and again, I'm going to say I don't think St. Louis is anywhere near as good as this record is. I think you're going to want to be looking to fade this team. I think Milwaukee is better than St. Louis is, but their hitting has really struggled so far, and St. Louis hasn't. St. Louis doesn't have a good bullpen, and they used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, so that's a problem. Milwaukee did use 4, and their bullpen hasn't been that good either, but St. Louis, they're 25th in bullpen whip, 1.5, and their ERA is almost 5, so that's pretty ugly. The Brewers' ERA in the bullpen is in the 3s, although their whip is a bit higher than that, but they rank 19th in whip, still better than St. Louis. Hitting-wise, yeah, St. Louis has been a surprise. They're at 8th in offensive OPS right now. Milwaukee, 23rd. Again, Milwaukee has had a lot of guys out of the lineup with injuries, though, although they still do. But I think there's less of a gap between these offenses than that might suggest. But I don't think Milwaukee is really a team you could back in this spot with Brandon Sproat on the road, even though this should be a bounce-back spot. Or Brandon Sproat on the mound, I mean to say. But yes, he is on the road as well. Milwaukee, they should be in a bounce-back spot here. And yes, they're better than their record looks, but I don't think Sproat is the guy that you really want to try to, you want to try to back Milwaukee when they have pitching. I don't know what better way to phrase that, but 6.75 ERA, 1.61 whip, that's bad. He has a 7 road ERA, bad. 25 to 15 strikeout walk ratio, way too many walks, 7 home runs allowed, that's bad. 28 hits allowed in 26 and 2/3 innings. None of these numbers are good, dude. And he's had a lot of shorter starts as well. Sproat, they got him over from the Mets, and he just has not been a good pitcher. Maybe he has some advantage here because St. Louis has never faced him before, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. I don't trust Sproat. He's just not pitching well, so that's what I have to say there. But I don't like Andre Payante either for the Cardinals, even though his 3.73 ERA looks pretty good. 1.31 whip is not that great. He's been really bad at home, 5.28 ERA. Don't know why, because this is a more pitcher-friendly ballpark in St. Louis, but he's been bad at home. Overall numbers, not very good. 26 to 14 strikeout walk ratio. 27 hits allowed in 31 1/3 innings. That's fine, but he doesn't strike a lot of guys out. Too many walks. He kind of gets away with it with inducing a bunch of ground balls. I don't like Payante, man. I know he's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all of his starts, but his underlying, well, not even underlying, but these other numbers, like the walk number, just really, really worries me. I'm not a huge fan of his. His numbers against Milwaukee are also bad. In 55 at-bats, 7 strikeouts, 11 walks. That's not good. 327 average allowed, 930 OPS allowed. So, yeah, this is not an ideal matchup for Payante, and he's not that good at home either. I think what I would do in this game, I still kind of lean to Milwaukee here, and I think they do have the better bullpen as well. The money is slightly on St. Louis, but they look public. 84% of tickets, 85% of the cash on them. They're a small favorite. You can get Milwaukee at maybe a slight underdog price. I agree with that, but I think maybe what I would do is go Milwaukee over their team total. The full game total is at about 8, but they're facing Payante, who doesn't do well against them, doesn't do well at home, and St. Louis's bullpen is kind of a mess and used a lot of guys. So I think Milwaukee might be able to get some runs on the board in this game. That is probably the way that I would approach that game. Still also do lean to Milwaukee, but it's not going to be a play for me. The Milwaukee team total, what that does is it takes Sproat out of the equation pretty much, and he's the most difficult part of this handicap to figure out. So The money seems to be indicating towards the over a bit as well, for what that's worth. Wouldn't really disagree with that. So, do with that information what you want. As I always say, the Dodgers at Houston. Dodgers won 8-3 yesterday. Houston, as we were discussing earlier, Houston has a terrible bullpen, and they basically went with a bullpen game yesterday. They started Okert, which did not look good. They used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, and they have a bad bullpen. They have the worst bullpen in baseball, and again, it's not even really close. 0.1 gap in whip from between them and the Reds, who have the next worst whip. Houston has a 6.22 bullpen ERA, which is almost a run higher than the next worst bullpen ERA, I believe. Really, really, really bad stuff. Kind of unbelievable. Houston's still a pretty good offense at 5th, but the Dodgers have the better offense at 2nd, and debatably they're the best offense. Dodgers also have a pretty good bullpen. They're 3rd right now in bullpen whip. Their bullpen's been pretty impressive this year, even though last year that was their main weak suit last year. That was their Achilles heel. Not really anymore. Also, it looks like the Dodgers probably have a starting pitching edge. Shohei Ohtani is pitching today, and they haven't had him in the lineup when he's been pitching, so that probably means he's not going to hit in the game today because they want him to focus on pitching, I guess. It might mean... I don't know what it means. Like, after, what I would do is, how after, I don't know how the DH rule works now, but I think after you decide, or no, because I guess you replace him, right? I think they should do a double switch. You could do that, right? I don't know if the Dodgers do this or not, but if he's not in the starting lineup, when he's done pitching, what I would do is do a double switch, and I would leave him in the game, put him in the lineup, and put the relief pitcher in for the DH. That's what I would do if I was their manager, if you're allowed to do that. So then Ohtani hits for the rest of the game, you know what I mean? But whatever. He's got a .6 ERA and .87 whip this year. Good numbers, obviously. His ERA on the road is 0, although it's a very small sample. He's only allowed 2 runs so far this year in 5 starts, both of those at home, obviously. Somehow the Dodgers lost 3 out of 5 of his starts, so he gets no run support, which is kind of ridiculous. He has 34 strikeouts, 9 walks, only 17 hits allowed in 30 innings. Ohtani, he's the best player in baseball, man. He's the most versatile. We know it. Is he good at gambling? I don't know. He has that in his toolbox as well, but whatever. He pitches well. He hits well. He can do it all. We know all this. Numbers against Houston, which we get to actually see them because ESPN has updated him to a starting pitcher again, so we can see this. 63 at bats worth, 18-8 strikeout walk ratio, 238 batting average allowed, 673 OPS. So yeah, he pitches pretty well against Houston when he's faced them before. He should pitch well again. Not going out on a limb saying that. Peter Lambert is pitching for Houston. He's kind of a mystery right now. His numbers have not been bad so far. 3.52 ERA, 1.24 whip. He started his career with Colorado, and he was, I think, a pretty high draft pick for Colorado. Never worked out. He's 29 years. He worked out. Like, he exercised, and he didn't work out as a pitcher. You know what I mean? He's 29 years old now, and his career never took off, but he's been okay this year so far. Not great, but 19 strikeouts in 15 and a third innings, 7 walks, 12 hits allowed. That's not awful. He's only made 1 home start, which was his first start. He gave up 4 runs in that one. We won on the over in that game. Luckily, the bullpens were obviously part of that equation, though, and the bullpens got destroyed in that game, especially Houston's bullpen. Lambert actually didn't pitch that bad in that game, though. Lambert has faced the Dodgers, though, because he was on Colorado, so the Dodgers have actually seen him a little bit in the past. 32 at-bats, 7-3 strikeout walk ratio, 250 average allowed, 846 OPS. So Lambert, it's been a while since the Dodgers have faced him, but they certainly are capable of hitting him. This game is on TBS for some reason, probably because Ohtani is pitching. That's going to draw viewers probably. I don't know. Baseball just generally isn't drawing viewers anymore. You guys probably saw last night there was nobody in the stands at the Red Sox-Tigers game. That was because of the weather. It was a weird situation, man. Everybody's just a pussy now. Because of the weather, the stadium actually told everybody to leave, but then continued the game. Or they told everybody to go inside or something. I don't know what they were doing in Detroit, man. It makes no sense. Are we like men or are we not men here, man? Like, if the game is still going on, why can't people be in the stands watching it? You know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. I don't know. That was very, very bizarre, but whatever. I've never seen anything like that. Everything is becoming massively pussified. Anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan of any of that. I'm not a fan of those trends. Anyway, what the hell are we even talking about here? What game? Oh, yeah, Dodgers. Dodgers are a huge favorite. I mean, they're laying like minus 230 here. The number's actually gone down a little bit. You can't lay a price like that on the money line. I mean, if you want to attack it, you know, I guess you could do the same thing you did yesterday. Dodgers over the team total. I don't like it as much as I liked it yesterday, but you're still getting the Houston bullpen in the equation. They're not a really rested bullpen, but Lambert is a little bit more trustworthy, at least, than whatever the hell they were doing yesterday with Okert. Getting the start in a bullpen game. Or, if you wanted to go Houston under their team total, I guess that's an option as well. With Ohtani plus the Dodgers bullpen, they could hold them in check a bit. I don't know, man. I mean, I guess you could lay the run line with the Dodgers again here. They do have a big advantage in the game. 85% of tickets, only 71% of the cash on the Dodgers, though. So they are a public side. So I certainly don't want to do it, but just if you want ways to play this game, I'm not recommending it, but I'm just, giving you options if you are a total degenerate and you have to do it. If you're going to do it, I would say just put like pizza money on these games though, man. Like, the actual plays I'm giving out are my actual strong opinions. Some of these games like this one, it's like, yeah, I mean, you're paying for entertainment value if you're going to bet on a game like this, unless you actually have a better angle than I do on it. The money's coming in on the under a little bit in that game. Not sure that I would agree with that. I'm going to never play an under in a Houston bullpen game. First 5 innings, I mean, I guess maybe there's an argument for that, but I'm not going to do it. Tyson, what's up? Kyle, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. I apologize. I started early because I got to bring my car over for its annual checkup, man, or whatever the hell it is. It's due, man. Hopefully my Bronco is doing all right. But now you guys know what I drive, so you're going to be able to find me. We have 5 games left. We're at the hour mark. I'm like clockwork, man. You know what that means. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll come back, finish this off. I have one play in the one hockey game today. I have a play, and the way that I talked about it earlier, you might be able to guess what it is. I'll be right back. That's the only play I have left. So Texas Rangers are my only play I've given out on the show so far. Rangers money line. I'll be right back. All right. What was I doing here? Oh, yes. Let's zoom back out. Or zoom back in, I mean. Okay. Next game is Mets, Colorado. One thing I forgot to mention about this game yesterday is the Mets got swept at home by Colorado not long ago, so they might have an extra motivational advantage here. They did win the game yesterday 4-2, even though I believe they wound up going with David Peterson after an opener. And he was okay. They actually had 2 pitchers start in front of him, which that would not have given me a lot of confidence in the Mets yesterday, but they mixed and matched their pitchers, and they actually did pretty well yesterday. And Sugano was okay-ish in the game yesterday as well. Very surprising, actually. Low-scoring game. Mr. Pinsey, thanks for hanging out. As far as this game, the Mets do have certain advantages here. They're still the better team, which is why they're favored on the road, even though they have a really bad record. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, which is not great yet because it was a bullpen game, pretty much. Colorado used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, but the Mets do generally have the better bullpen. They're at 6th in bullpen whip. Colorado has kind of fallen off. They're at 17th right now. Their bullpen is not doing that well. Hitting-wise, Colorado remains pretty good. They're at 10th in OPS. The Mets are 30th, dead last still. The Rockies do actually have the better offense right now. Bullpen goes to the Mets, though, and I think starting pitching, you got to give the edge to the Mets. Just looking at the starting pitchers on the surface, Freddie Peralta is pitching for the Mets. He is pretty good. 3.52 ERA, 1.2 whip. He's a veteran. He's not going to be intimidated by pitching in Coors Field. I haven't actually looked at what his numbers are in the past in Coors Field, but he's been pretty good both home and away. Doesn't have significant splits this year. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing since his first start of the season, so he's pitching consistently. His only problem is the walks are too high. 42 strikeouts, 16 walks, and 38 in the third innings, 30 hits allowed. He's got to get the walk number down, but other than that, he's been good. And he's still not allowing a lot of runs, but the Mets are giving him no run support. So they've lost 4 games in a row that he started, and none of it was his fault, really. He pitched fine in every one of those games. Against Colorado, his numbers are not as good as you would think. It's 60 at-bats, 20 strikeouts, 8 walks. That walk number is also kind of high. 250 batting average allowed, 822 OPS, so that's not great. Tovar is really the guy that does a lot of the damage, though. 5 for 12 with 2 home runs. So if you take him out, the numbers look a bit better. I think Peralta should pitch okay here, though. He is going up against Michael Lorenzen. He's not had a good season. 6.09 ERA, 1.76 whip. I think his transition to Colorado is kind of a problem because I think he's more of a fly ball pitcher, and his home road splits are bad. He's been really bad in Coors Field so far. 8.56 ERA at home. That's pretty bad, obviously. So he's struggled in Coors Field. Actually, his ground ball fly ball rate is not that bad. 24-9 strikeout walk ratio. He doesn't walk a ton of guys, but he's allowed 6 home runs, although believe it or not, only 2 of them have been at home. He's allowed 51 hits in 34 innings, though, so he's been way too hittable. Even though he doesn't walk that many guys, it's basically just like he's just putting the ball over the plate too much. Doesn't strike a lot of guys out either. Not a very trustworthy pitcher, Lorenzen. Against the Mets, though, he does actually have good numbers. It's 65 at bats, 246 average allowed, 623 OPS, 10-2 strikeout walk ratio, and he actually did just hold the Mets to 1 run in 7 innings 2 starts ago in New York, though. But he pitched well in that game. But then again, pitching in Coors Field is a different environment, man. But his numbers generally do look pretty good against the Mets, so I'm not really sure I want to fade Lorenzen. And by the way, Peralta pitched in that series as well. And he held Colorado to 2 earned runs in 5 2/3, 8 strikeouts, 3 walks. Kind of a typical Peralta start there. But of course, his team gave him no run support, and he lost the game. This is a game I'm passing on as well, obviously. The money looks like it's coming in towards Colorado. 68% of tickets, 63% of the cash on the Mets. The Mets are around minus 160 on the money line. It's a bit of a beefy price, man, especially because Lorenzen at least has good matchup numbers against the Mets, even though he's been pretty bad at home. But remember, the Mets are also, their offense has been very weak this year too, though. The total's sitting at 10. Don't see the percentages on it yet. Maybe it kind of sounds insane, but, maybe this, yesterday's game went way under. These are offenses that aren't really that impressive. Maybe under first 5 innings makes sense in this game, man. I think the Mets should win with Peralta against Lorenzen and then the bullpen advantage as well. But, it is a bit pricey. Like, I don't know. If you could somehow find a money line that's in the 140s, maybe the lean would be the Mets there, but I don't know. First 5 under, I could see making some sense there, and you're probably getting it at like under 5.5. But you're having to worry about it being Coors Field as well, and there is the potential that one or both of these pitchers don't actually do well, so I don't love it. The White Sox are at Anaheim. Anaheim lost 6-0 yesterday to the White Sox, so I talk about when teams get shut out at home, a lot of times they bounce back, and they do better in the next game. Soriano didn't do well again yesterday, man. He's become human, which I kind of expected, but he's had a couple of not-so-good starts in a row. This White Sox team is not that bad anymore, man. Their bullpen is still bad, though. They only used one relief pitcher out of the bullpen yesterday, but Anaheim's bullpen is also bad. They used 2 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. White Sox are 26th, Anaheim 27th in bullpen whip. These are both bullpens that you can't rely on. White Sox offense is all the way up to 12th in OPS now, though. Pretty crazy, with Murakami doing really well, etc. The Angels' offense has fallen off a bit, I think. They're down to 16th, even though they do hit a lot of home runs. So these offenses are still kind of capable. YouTube is shadow banning me? I don't think so. I don't do anything on this channel here that would get that to happen. That makes no sense to me. I think YouTube, just their notification system just sucks. I don't know what else to tell you. If I search for my show, it comes up right away, so I don't think so. They're not Twitter. And also, I don't make this show political. At least, not really. What was I going to say? All right, yeah, the White Sox. Eric Fetty is pitching for the White Sox here. He's actually been all right this year, and he was the guy that I was really wanting to fade last year when he was on St. Louis. 3.24 ERA, 1.05 whip. It seems like being back with the White Sox has given him a new lease on life, I guess. I don't know, man. He's been part of this White Sox resurgence. Hasn't been as good on the road, though. 4.3 road ERA. Generally good, though. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing. 22-11 strikeout walk ratio is not great. He's not striking out a lot of guys. 24 hits allowed in 33 1/3 innings, but, I mean, he's getting the job done. Numbers against Anaheim are not horrible. In 61 at-bats, 12-1 strikeout walk ratio, 230 average allowed, 717 OPS. Those are not bad numbers. He will be going up against Sam Aldigheri. Is that how you pronounce his name? Aldigheri, the Italian. He's from Italy, actually. Aldigheri, 5.4 ERA, 1.8 whip for him. He's still really young, 24, so maybe he starts turning this thing around, but he's pitched a little bit in the majors since 2024, and his overall numbers have been bad, like pretty much in line with what he's done so far this season, so I worry about that. He's only made one start, or not even a start, one appearance this year. I don't even think it was a start. He got a win in the game, actually, it wasn't a start, because he got a win despite only pitching 1 2/3 innings. He got a win against the Yankees a couple weeks ago, coming out of the bullpen, and allowed 1 earned run and off of 2 hits and 1 walk and had 2 strikeouts. So he wasn't even that good, but he got the job done somehow. I don't trust him, but he is unfamiliar to the White Sox. Only Grichuk has seen him, and he's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. So, I don't know, man. Yeah, Aldigheri, I mean, he's very unpredictable in this game. What do we do with this game? I have no clue. I mean, normally I would say that Anaheim should bounce back here. Money looks like it's coming in on the White Sox, though. Teams usually bounce back after they get shut out at home, but maybe not here. 62% of tickets, 73% of the cash on the White Sox. Anaheim's at around -115 here. I really don't like the game, man. I just don't have a good angle to attack this game. There is just it's too highly variant. Like, we don't know what we're going to get out of either of these starters. The only thing that isn't that variant is that both bullpens suck, so keep that in mind with whatever you do there. What is happening with these notifications, man? This is bullshit. I need more people to watch my fucking show, and the notifications. Are you sure that you're, like, when you subscribe, I think you have to click something extra to actually get the notifications. You have to make sure the notifications are actually turned on. Make sure that you've done that because YouTube fucks that up a lot. Atlanta at Seattle. I was correct about Seattle yesterday. I like being correct about my leans, but I don't like it when I don't have a play on it. But it was a close game, 5-4. I do think Seattle's still a bit under the radar, though. Not as bad as their record looks. Atlanta, of course, is just going to get the public attention because their record is so good. Atlanta used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Seattle also used 3. Bullpen-wise, Atlanta has been the best in baseball based on whip, not based on ERA, but they are one of the best bullpens. Seattle's good as well, though, even though they're 15th. Their whip hasn't been that good, but their bullpen ERA is good. I think Seattle's bullpen can compete with Atlanta's at the very least. Atlanta's been the best offense in baseball as well, which is crazy. Seattle has struggled in that department at 22nd. So, yeah, I'll give Atlanta an offensive edge. But I don't think it's as crazy an edge as what it might look like. Bryce Elder is pitching for the Braves, 1.88 ERA, 1.05 whip. So his numbers are good. Bryce Elder, dude, he's starting to turn it around, surprisingly, because he was really bad for a lot of last year. It looks like he's bouncing back or something from injury now, man. He's been good. His home road splits are basically non-existent, so he's good either way. 36 strikeouts, 13 walks in 43 innings, 32 hits allowed. These are all pretty good numbers, although his strikeout rate is not that high. But you got the notification yesterday. Maybe today might have just been a bug. I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure I'm not shadow banned on YouTube. Like, nobody even knows about this channel, really. Nobody cares. Yeah, I highly doubt it. YouTube also doesn't do that. That's like a Twitter thing. YouTube, they just give you like strikes and warnings and stuff. None of that has happened on this channel, so no. YouTube is way different. Twitter will just do that to you without even telling you. YouTube doesn't do that. As much as I do not like either of them. Anyway, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that here. Anyway, yeah, I don't even know what I was saying. Elder's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing, whatever. His numbers are pretty good. Numbers against Seattle are not that good. An 18 at-bats, small sample size, though. 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 278 average, 739 OPS. Those numbers are not good, and they're not bad, really. So we don't know what we're going to get out of Elder here, although this is a pitcher-friendly park. He might pitch well. He's had a good season. George Kirby is pitching for the Mariners. He's had a good season as well. 3 ERA, 1.13 whip. He's generally better at home, although his home road splits are actually pretty insignificant this year. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in his last 4 outings. He's allowed more than 3 only once this season in a start against the Yankees. He's got a 34-11 strikeout walk ratio, which is pretty good. 40 hits allowed in 45 innings. We got good numbers here from him. His numbers against Atlanta are pretty good. In 58 at-bats, 11 strikeouts, 2 walks. 276 average is a little high, in the current baseball, but 679 OPS is not bad. So the only way I can really look at this game is an under. I think that's pretty much what I would do here. The money looks like it's not really agreeing with it. 93% of tickets, 89% of the cash on the under. The total's at 8. But, we got a pitcher-friendly park. We got 2 pretty good bullpens. Bullpen usage was somewhat limited, although Seattle did use some of their better relievers yesterday. But even so, I think both starters are fairly trustworthy right now. It looks like an under to me. You also had Atlanta was initially a favorite, and it flipped to Seattle being about a minus 130 favorite here. I don't really disagree with the Seattle side, similar to why I liked them last night. I just think that they're under the radar right now. Public looks all over Atlanta, 90% of the tickets, although 92% of the cash on them. But I think Seattle is a fade of the public at the very least here. And I think Elder is a little bit less trustworthy than Kirby still, and the matchup numbers kind of bear that out too. So slight lean for me to Seattle as well there. I liked it better last night, though. Pittsburgh at Arizona. I think these teams both didn't play yesterday, but Arizona is returning home from a road trip. They went to Milwaukee and the Cubs, and they lost all but one game on the road trip. Got swept by the Cubs, so I think the gut instinct from a lot of like recreational bettors and whatever will be, oh, they're at home, they're going to bounce back. But I look at it differently, as you know. I think the return home spot is bad because you've been away for a week or more. You got to get back to family life. It can be a bit of a distraction, even though the Pirates might be a team that you actually pay attention to because they've had a decent season so far. Pirates had yesterday off as well, and maybe that's a little bit of a momentum stopper after sweeping the Reds in a very nice home series for the Pirates there. But starting the road trip, you usually are focused because you want to get the road trip off on the right foot. So I think it is a decent situational spot for Pittsburgh here. So I don't mind that. Both bullpens are rested because they didn't play yesterday, but you know I don't like Arizona's bullpen, even though they're still 7th in whip. Their ERA is close to 5, so I don't really see how you could trust their bullpen. Pittsburgh's bullpen has a 3.7 ERA, although their whip is a little bit worse. I think Pittsburgh does have the better bullpen. Hitting-wise, Pittsburgh's been surprisingly good. They're up to 7th in OPS. D-backs have dropped to 11th, although both these teams are pretty offensively capable. I will say I think Pittsburgh might be a little bit fraudulent offensively right now, but they've been pretty good. Bubba Chandler is pitching for Pittsburgh, and I look at the starting pitching matchup, and I think Chandler is the better pitcher in this matchup. He's the younger pitcher with way more upside because he's only 23, but I don't know if he's that trustworthy right now. He's really struggled with the wildness this year. 4.97 ERA, 1.48 whip. That's not that good. 5.93 ERA on the road, so he's difficult to trust on the road. He's pitching in a hitter-friendly park here. He's had way too many walks, dude. 27 strikeouts, 20 walks. I can't really get on board with that. 23 hits allowed in 29 innings. That's not bad, obviously, but the walk number is what's bad. He's had multiple walks in all but one outing. It should worry you. Pittsburgh's lost 4 of his last 5 outings. It's not all of it was his fault, though. He allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of those outings, so he's not allowing that many runs for the most part. And Arizona's never faced it before, so I do talk about how that is an advantage to the pitcher. When the offense has never seen them before, they have to kind of figure him out. So maybe he does have a little bit of an edge there. He's going up against Eduardo Rodriguez, so both E-Rods are pitching today, Elmer and Eduardo, for the Yankees and for the Diamondbacks. Eduardo Rodriguez is a bit older. He's got a 3.03 ERA this year, which does look pretty good, but 1.41 whip is not very good. Home road splits are almost non-existent for him, so he's the same home and away pretty much, but that whip indicates he is putting way too many guys on base. And in fact, that is the case. He's walked multiple guys in all but one outing. He's walked at least 3 in his last 3 outings. Diamondbacks have actually won his last 4 starts, though, and he's allowed no more than 4 earned runs in any of them. But this walk number is very untrustworthy. So both pitchers have walk problems. 22 strikeouts, 16 walks. So his strikeout rate is down, too. His velocity is way down, dude. He hasn't been the same since his surgeries either. He's allowed 30 hits in 32 2/3 innings, which isn't that bad, but the strikeout walk ratio is not very good for him. His numbers against not Arizona, against Pittsburgh. Actually, I got to go back and make sure I looked at Chandler's. I did. I looked at Chandler's numbers. He's never been seen before by Arizona, which I think is correct. E-Rod obviously has been seen by Pittsburgh before. They have 38 at-bats against him. 15 strikeouts, 2 walks, 211 average. 750 OPS is a little high because he's allowed 3 home runs, but all of them are from Brandon Lowe. And Lowe is 4 for 20 off him with 11 strikeouts. So it's like he either strikes out or homers off him and doesn't do anything else. That doesn't concern me that much. So I think E-Rod does have good matchup numbers there. It's not a game I want anything to do with. The money looks like it is. Money is hitting Texas now, by the way, so there we go. That is my one play. If you trust these wager talk numbers at all. This game looks like the money is hitting Pittsburgh, and I do agree. 62% of tickets are on Arizona, 58% of the cash on Pittsburgh. I do think I trust Chandler a little bit more. Maybe he at least has the capability of pitching really well. He's the much younger guy with the much higher threshold. Like I said, the higher ceiling. Total in this game is 9, and Arizona's about a minus 120 something favorite here. But again, the situation does not benefit Arizona returning home from a road trip. Pittsburgh starting a road trip. So I'll lean to Pittsburgh in the game. Don't have a good feel for the total there. Pittsburgh also does have the better bullpen, in my opinion, too, so you get that behind you if you want Pittsburgh there. That would be my lean. And then San Diego at San Francisco. San Francisco won yesterday 3-2. These two teams, when they play, they both play in pitcher-friendly ballparks. They both have good bullpens. So usually you're going to see lower-scoring games between these two teams. I look at this starting pitching matchup, though, and I think this is a huge starting pitching edge to San Francisco. But when you dig into the matchup numbers, that's not quite the case. San Francisco used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. San Diego used 3, but some of their better relievers are available again today. Both bullpens are good. San Diego's 8th right now in whip. Giants are 10th, but I think these are 2 top several bullpens in baseball. Both offenses have really struggled as well, so that also leads to lower scoring games. San Diego 26th and San Francisco 29th in OPS. That's some pretty bad stuff. Walker Buehler is pitching for San Diego, and that's why I was saying I can't say that San Diego has a pitching edge here because I don't think Buehler's any good. He hasn't been good really at all since his injuries. He's just never come back from that. 5.4 ERA this year, 1.56 whip, not very good. His road ERA is very bad, 13.5, but it's a very small sample, and he is pitching in a pitcher-friendly park here. He faced San Francisco in the first game of the season that he pitched, and he didn't do that well in San Diego. He went 4 innings, allowed 3 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. Overall, he has 24 strikeouts in 25 innings, which is actually not that bad. That strikeout rate is decent, but 12 walks is a concern. 27 hits allowed is kind of a concern. Just too many guys on base, man, although some of his numbers might suggest that he's not quite that bad. His matchup numbers are actually good against the Giants, though, in 45 at-bats, 13-2 strikeout walk ratio, 178 average allowed, 435 OPS. So overall, he does match up well against the Giants, but some of those numbers might be from earlier in his career because he was in this division with the Dodgers. So maybe you don't want to put that much weight into those numbers, but I think you should put some weight into them. Logan Webb is pitching for the Giants. Generally, he is pretty good, although his numbers this year haven't been quite that good. 4.3 ERA, 1.36 whip. Those numbers are a little bit higher than you'd want to see. And he's actually been a little bit worse at home this year so far, which tends to not be the case. I think he'll probably turn that around. Like last year, he was definitely better at home, but this year he has a 4.74 home ERA. He hasn't pitched bad, though. I mean, he's allowed 4 or fewer earned runs in every outing since his first outing, which was against the Yankees, and he still had a good strikeout walk ratio in that one. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but 2 outings. Of course, he gets no run support because his team can't hit, so his team has lost 3 out of his last 4 starts. But generally, he's pitching decently. He's got 38 strikeouts in 44 innings, 45 hits allowed and 15 walks. Yeah, those numbers are a little bit concerning. I mean, he's not a huge strikeout guy, but usually he doesn't put that many guys on base. So he's got to get that under control a little bit. Numbers against San Diego, believe it or not, are actually not that good, though. They have a lot of experience against him. 230 at-bats, 51 strikeouts, 13 walks. That's not bad for him, but 287 batting average allowed, 756 OPS. So they do have a lot of hits off of him. Not a lot of home runs, though, but just generally a lot of hits. 5 home runs is not that much for that amount of at-bats, but maybe Webb is a little bit less trustworthy than you would think, because I was looking at this game and thinking San Francisco's got a big pitching edge here, but maybe not so much. Money is kind of indicating, where are we looking here? Oh, National League. Oh, thank you. Money is still indicating on San Francisco, though. 60% of tickets, 90% of the cash on them. They're at about minus 130 or so. I'll probably, I don't know, man. I mean, I still kind of want to lean that way towards San Francisco just because I think Webb is clearly better than Buehler, but I don't know about it, man. The total is really low at 7.5. The under might make sense. Again, you have 2 good bullpens. Both starting pitchers might actually be capable of doing okay here. Offenses are not very good. Pitcher-friendly park. I mean, an under kind of makes sense in that game, but if the matchup numbers were stronger, maybe that's the way I would go with that, but I'm skipping it. Let's go to hockey, where there's 1 game and I have 1 play. It's on ESPN. It's Minnesota, Colorado, Game 2. Colorado won the first game in a ridiculous 9-6 score. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to do something that you might not expect from me. We're going to take the under in this game. The total's at 6.5, and it was 6.5 in game one as well, but it was more heavily juiced towards the under in game one, so it was more close to 6. So based on that ridiculous 15-goal barrage in game one, the line has shifted a little bit such that you're getting 6.5 at basically a pick'em price here. And we're talking about two teams that were two of the top defensive teams in the NHL this year. Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a lower scoring game, man. I mean, this is getting a little bit ridiculous. I mean, yes, there were a lot of shots in that game, but still 15 goals is just insane. Like, I think it's almost automatic that in an outlier like that, you just look to fade that result in the next game, even though, yes, both teams did put up a lot of shots. But still, I mean, it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't that many. It wasn't like the game, went into overtime and we had, well, if it went into overtime, that might, skew the perception a little bit more. But either way, I mean, we had 36 shots from Minnesota, 43 from Colorado. It is a high number for sure, but not as high as you would think in a game that was that high scoring. I think the defenses are going to show up, man. I think what's going to happen is both teams are going to focus on that. After both teams know they allowed way too many goals in the first game, I think you're not going to see this game be as wide open at all. And Colorado, by the way, in the playoffs prior to that, Colorado had every single game went under this total. They had totals of 3-3, 6, and 6. And the two games at home were both the 3 totals. So that was what they did in the playoffs so far. So this looks like a big-time outlier. And Minnesota, yes, they did play a little bit higher scoring against Dallas. They played 6 games against Dallas, and 3 of them went over this total, and 3 of them didn't. But all 3 that went over landed exactly 7. So they were not having ridiculously high-scoring games either in that series. So I like the under in this one. I know we have to worry about empty net goals and shit like that, but this is a very rare situation for me, man, where we had such an outlier in the previous game that the zigzag is to go under here. So that's what we're doing. Let's see about the money here. Money seems to indicate that way. 69% of tickets, 94% of the cash on the under. That is what we're going to do. You could probably still find it at this price or maybe minus 115, whatever it is. Colorado is also a huge favorite and in the minus 190s, basically. I don't have a good read on the side. Colorado won by 3 goals, so normally I would say the zigzag would say to look the other way, but Minnesota was in that game, so I think the way that Minnesota lost that game in such a crazy game that was actually pretty close, with Minnesota continuously coming back in the game from big deficits and whatever, or at least one big deficit early. I don't love Minnesota here. And yes, maybe it means the teams are both gassed, which, that might worry me a little bit about playing the under just so the teams are tired, but I just think it's such an outlier that I think you have to do it. So we are going to go under here. Don't have a good read on the side here. Colorado is getting the money, it looks like. 85% of tickets, 95% of the cash on them. And I did already talk about, if you look at the regular season series, Colorado played better than it looks in the regular season. So I think this is a bad matchup for Minnesota. I do think Colorado will win the series eventually. And they should win this game, being a big favorite at home, but we will see. NBA, 2 plays that are on NBC, or 2 games, excuse me, I don't have any plays in the NBA. NBC Sports and NBC and Peacock have the games here. First game is Cleveland at Detroit, and this is the game where I have a stronger opinion here. Detroit, now both teams, it's similar that both teams went to 7 games when people didn't expect that to happen. So both teams almost lost their first series, had to go 7 games. And initially I was going to say, well, Detroit looked like the less impressive team in those series because they fell behind 3-1 to Orlando, who can't even score. You know what I mean? And Detroit had all those ugly, lower scoring games, but the public is very recency biased. And I think the public's going to look at this and say, well, Detroit just blew Orlando out 2 games in a row, beat them 3 games in a row. They had a higher scoring game in the last game. So I think in the public's mind, that's actually going to make them like Detroit more now coming off of that. Whereas for Cleveland, they went to 7 games and they zigzagged all over the place. And I think the public is going to knock them a little bit more because they were losing the game in the first half to Toronto. We got the win on that game. But remember, even though Cleveland only won by 12, Cleveland, they were winning that game by 21 late in the game. So they kind of just packed it in early after they completely took control of that game. So we did have a winner with Cleveland in that one. But now after that, I think the public's perception of this is going to be that Cleveland actually didn't play that well in the series. But Toronto, I mean, they're a pretty good defensive team, and they put up way more of a fight than I thought they would. But then again, Cleveland was really the better team here. And the way that you know is that Cleveland dominated the rebound battle in this game, 60-33. I mean, that's probably going to be a concern for Detroit, too, because Detroit, I know they have Duran and whatever, but I don't know if Detroit has enough answers for Cleveland. You know, I picked Cleveland to win this series in my bracket. Part of it was because I thought Cleveland had an easier first-round matchup, too, but I thought Cleveland might actually wind up even being a slight favorite in this series, and I think they're a slight underdog in the series, but it's close. I think Cleveland's going to be a bigger favorite in their home games than Detroit is in their home games in the series. But Cleveland dominated the rebound battle, man. I don't think Detroit has enough size to match what Cleveland's going to do. Cleveland has more experience as well. Cleveland, you know, they've made playoff runs the last few years. Detroit, this is only their second year doing this. This is the first time they made it to the second round. So I don't love that. Cleveland, by the way, didn't shoot well from three-point range in that game against Toronto. So they do have possibly a little bit of positive regression in store there from not shooting well from three. Whereas Detroit, by the way, they shot too well against Orlando here. They shot 51% from the field and 48% from three. So they're probably going to see some outlier there, even though, yes, Orlando did go to the line more than Detroit did. They were only +4 in free throw makes. So Detroit, you know, maybe will regress a little bit from shooting 82% from the line as well. But Detroit only won the rebound battle by 8, so they were not really as impressive as maybe it looked in this easy win against Orlando. But they shot a lot better than you would expect, especially given what that series looked like. That series did not have good shooting in it. And while I think Detroit might be the better defense over Cleveland here, Detroit's laying points here, you know, I might be talking myself into it. Obviously, if you haven't figured it out, I like Cleveland in this game. And I like Cleveland to win the series as well because I picked it in my bracket, but I still like it. 58% of tickets, 89% of the cash coming in on Cleveland. You could have gotten 4 on this, but it did drop to 3.5, 3. Let me see. I don't know if there's still 3.5s out there. I am tempted to actually add this. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like you basically have to take 3. I see 3.5 at +115 out there as well. You know, Caesars has a decent number on it at, or I don't know if I should say the Roman Emperor. Maybe that's why they're shadow betting me. No, I don't think they are. The Roman Emperor's place has the 3 at reduced juice. You know what? Let's add it. Let's do it. Let's try to get back on track with the basketball playoffs here. We're gonna do it. We're gonna take Cleveland. Looks like the money is agreeing with this, and it's dropped a little bit, but I would say try to at least get 3 on this with Cleveland. There it is for you. Cleveland +3. Let's do it. Again, more experience. I think the outliers in the last game for both teams kind of indicate towards Cleveland as well. Whoops, I made that 10 seconds. I don't know how that even happened. Whatever. Cleveland is going to be the play there. So there you go. And Cleveland, by the way, I mean, yeah, they have to travel here, but they have to travel from Cleveland to Detroit. Oh, no. And both teams played on the same day, so both teams had the same rest, but Cleveland has to travel from Cleveland to Detroit. Oh, my God. That's such a big travel spot. Not really. By the way, I guess, because I always do, we look at the season series, and, you know, these teams actually did split the season series with Cleveland winning at Detroit by 21. Then Detroit won at Cleveland by 4. Detroit won in overtime at home by 3. And then at Cleveland, Cleveland won by 4 in the most recent game. You'd have to look at what personnel was in, because I don't know how much weight you can put into these games, because some of these games, you know, some of the guys were out. I think Cunningham might have missed that last game. I don't even know, man. Both teams had guys that were in and out of the lineup, so I don't really know how much weight you can put into these games. But One thing to note is that in the 2 games in Detroit lost one game by 21, and they only won the other game by 3 in overtime. So Detroit basically didn't cover this number in either home game against Cleveland. Yeah, Detroit is good at home, 31-9. Cleveland not horrible on the road at 25-16, though. And we don't need them to win. We need them to cover. So we're going to take Cleveland in that one. Then in the other matchup, oh, by the way, very, very surprising. I did say I leaned to Minnesota plus the points against San Antonio last night, and I was correct about the Knicks as well. So my leans were correct in both games, even though I wasn't that strong on either of them. Minnesota, in a shocking turn of events, they actually played Anthony Edwards last night and wound up winning the game. The line dropped to about 8.5, I think, in the game because of that announcement. So I would have said laying the points with San Antonio made more sense after that, right? Because the number had dropped to 8.5, and San Antonio is a way better home team than Minnesota is a road team. But San Antonio, I think the time off hurt them, man. I think having that much time off, plus the lack of experience for San Antonio, that hurt them. And if Anthony Edwards is going to keep playing, he came off the bench, by the way, so that was the other thing. The line would have overreacted a little bit to Edwards coming back because he didn't even start, but he played 25 minutes. He actually was pretty good in the game, even though it looked like he was kind of injured. But Minnesota stealing that game and having experience, they might actually win that series. It went from San Antonio being a massive favorite with it looking like Anthony Edwards might not even play in the series at all, to now Edwards all of a sudden comes back in game 1, and now Minnesota has stolen one of the games on the road. It's crazy, dude. It is really crazy. And, of course, I had Denver winning that series in my bracket. But anyway, I figured I would point that out. The other game tonight, of course, is the Lakers at Oklahoma City. Luka is not coming back here, so we will have L.A. with Reeves, but I don't know that that's going to be enough to beat Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is without Jalen Williams still, who is one of their better players, but they're such a deep team, it hasn't even really mattered that much, and he might not have played in some of the regular season games. Oklahoma City swept the regular season series against the Lakers, and they won those games by 29 at home, by 9 on the road, by 43 at home, and by 36 on the road. But that was a game where the Lakers were without everybody. That was no Luka, no Reeves, whatever, but they're still without Luka here. Oklahoma City completely dominated the Lakers in the regular season series, man. So they're clearly the better team. There's obviously a reason why they're a massive favorite here. Now, the problem with OKC, obviously, is they've been off for a long time. They haven't played since last Monday. They swept Phoenix. So I think if you want to look towards the Lakers here, I think going first half makes sense here. But the odds makers probably know about this phenomenon, so you're probably not getting that much value on playing the Lakers. You're probably only getting about 7 playing them in the first half, but that's probably what I would do, because if Oklahoma City is going to come into this game with any rust or whatever from having way too much time off, I think it's going to show early in the game, and then once the game goes on, I think they're probably going to overpower the Lakers and wind up winning the game, possibly covering. I don't want anything to do with the game, but, first half Lakers makes some sense just because the Lakers have more momentum because they played more recently. But the Lakers beating a Durantless Houston team that just looked like they really did not have a lot of motivation there. I don't know what that was. I'm not liking the Lakers' chances in this series, obviously. I think Oklahoma City should win this series pretty easily. The money seems to be coming in on Oklahoma City here. 66% of tickets, 92% of the cash on them. They're at 15.5 at most places here. Money coming in on the under, by the way, as well, with the total being around 214, somewhere in that range. I don't really have a good read on the total, but again, I will say if Oklahoma City comes into this game rusty and with the Lakers without their best offensive player, Luka, maybe under makes some sense in that game, and maybe Lakers getting those points makes some sense in the full game, but I wouldn't want to do it. First half to me makes a little bit more sense, but I don't want to do that either. And by the way, just, to cover it, the total in the Cleveland-Detroit game is at 216 approximately, which is really low, by the way. So, based on what these totals were in the regular season, if you look at the regular season matchups, these totals are way lower than what they were during I think during the regular season, Cleveland and Detroit had some totals that were around 230. So the odds makers know what they're doing, man. Playoff atmosphere, you get better defense. that's the way that it is, and that does help us as far as wanting Cleveland in the game. But, yeah, I don't really have much of a thought on the total there. The money is coming in on the under in both games, though, for what that's worth. It looks like that's the case. Even though I just don't know if there's a whole lot of value there, though. That's the problem. Both Game 7s went over, by the way. All three, I should say. The three Game 7s in the Eastern Conference, they all went over the total because the odds makers over-adjusted because they know that Game 7 is always low-scoring, defensive, but they adjusted those totals so low that I told you couldn't play those unders, you know what I mean? And all three of them went over, so I believe. But anyway, that's my coverage. There you go. The plays today are the Texas Rangers on the money line, under in Minnesota, Colorado in hockey. And we threw in an NBA play, Cleveland Cavs +3. That's going to be it. I don't feel like I need to have one play in every sport. I mean, I do skip sports pretty often. I was going to skip the NBA, but I don't know. I talked myself into it. That was almost going to be on my card anyway, so let's do it. Those are the plays. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the channel here. You better get those notifications, man. Hopefully you get them. I'm subscribed to this channel with some of my other accounts, so I'll look and see if I got the notification. I don't know, but it better work. Hopefully it's just a glitch with YouTube today, man. It might be. That's probably the more likely scenario. This is on audio as well, Apple, Spotify. Go check that out over there. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube, patreon.com/learntotode if you want to support me there. It's all on the link tree. If you go to my Twitter, my link tree is there, linktree.com/learntotode, and you can find it that way. Losercast will be back tonight. We have Dave Wright, Dave the Thinker, who is the co-host of Broseph, who's one of my co-hosts on Losercast. He does a show with Dave. I've been on Dave's show before, the Corn-Fed podcast, and now I have him blocked because he's an asshole on Twitter, so it'll be an interesting dynamic tonight, but he is our guest tonight. So check that out tonight. And then the G-Spot Giants podcast that I do with Ben Weir will be back at some point as well. We might have Adam Nutter on it again, too. I don't know. We'll be doing more episodes of that. Come back to this show, and, we'll continue covering all these sports, man. And WNBA will start on Friday. I don't know if I'm going to have any plays right out of the gate with the WNBA, but we did pretty well with the WNBA last season, so I'm going to try to do it again. So that'll be in the mix with these plays. I'm probably not going to have any plays on the World Cup, but I might cover it at least as far as I'm going to fill out like a knockout bracket at the very least once that gets going. But that'll be next month, I think. That's going to do it. I appreciate everybody. Peace. Yes.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.